internet is not. Because I can talk.
All right, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. If we can start with a moment of silence, please. You know, stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Domingo, if you'll take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Reed. Jackson.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Davis.
Present.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve of the agenda?
So moved. Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This evening, we are going to start off with an employee recognition. City Manager Snyder, no, I'm sorry.
Yep, I will call up Director Abraham.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So upon me coming on board in January, City Manager Snyder and I, we discussed ways that we can reignite the culture, right? Ways that we can acknowledge and show appreciation for our deserving staff. Our staff receive a lot of backlash and complaints for the work that they do, which is, it's warranted given the work that we all do. But it's also important to acknowledge our deserving team members when they do a good job, right? And so in response to our discussion, I created an employee recognition program with the buy-in from all of the department heads and supervisors. And this program is a peer-to-peer program where team members can nominate other team members, and we'll do this quarterly. And we've been gracious enough to receive donations from local businesses to provide to our winner of the award. And so I'm not going to go through all the criteria for the award, but I will go through the nomination write-up that was submitted for the team member that won the award for this quarter. So I would like to nominate Cheryl Zick for an exceptional team member award. Cheryl always reports to work with a smile on her face and motivation in excess. Her generous, caring heart puts a smile on everyone's face, regardless of the mood. Although Cheryl is not expected or required to, she always greets all employees and citizens she passes. Cheryl truly makes City Hall, ADPS, and Station 1 shine like no one has been able to. Cheryl assists in many tasks outside of her scope of responsibilities. I believe it is her selfless works of service that encourages her to want to help others achieve their goals and tasks. Cheryl does not have a glamorous job, but when she is done, the place looks glam. She goes above and beyond janitorial duties to put true cleanliness and shine where we all carelessly make messes and often don't clean up after ourselves. A huge thank you to Cheryl for her warm smile, caring heart, consistency, and hard work. For this, and as the Albion residents, we present the award to Cheryl as the outstanding employee of the second quarter award to you. And also you will be receiving 8 classes free from the body shop that was donated. So you're able to redeem this at any time within the next year, and you can take advantage of the 8 free classes.
Thank you so much. I'm so overwhelmed. Oh, I'm shocked and surprised, but I'm surrounded every day by wonderful people that appreciate me. There's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't say thank you. Somebody doesn't say, you didn't have to do that, or I don't know what we would do without you, or you rock, or whatever the saying is, but there's I've been here over a year and there's not a day still that does not go by that somebody doesn't appreciate me. And, that's why I come to work, because I feel the love and, I'm just surrounded by good people and I'm very grateful and, very appreciative. So thank you.
I will say that before I knew Cheryl was working here, I came in a couple of times. And I've never seen the floors shinier. I've never seen things like dusted until that time. And then then somebody told me that Cheryl started working. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I can totally see Cheryl doing all of this and doing it to its finest. As well, I've heard from, like you're saying, employees that you take care of everybody. You take care of them like they're your family. You do special things. You recognize and you remember, and you make this place a happier place to come to work just by creating that family atmosphere. So those are things that I've heard about you, Cheryl. So I appreciate all that you do to keep these folks happy, because like Mitchell said, this is not, a place where people get appreciated. There's a lot of expectations and not a lot of thank yous. So thank you.
And I appreciate it very much. And as much as you guys feel I give you, it's reciprocated back to me. I really do. I feel very appreciated here, and I like my job. I like my job. I like the people I talk to. Sometimes I get a little bored and I try to go find somebody to talk to, Okay, I haven't talked to anybody in 2 hours. I gotta go find somebody to talk to. But no, everybody's great and I feel very appreciated. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here and it's a cool gig.
Yeah, that means that you'll be with us for a while, so that's big.
Right.
I told Mitchell the other day, I said something about, I was getting the cobwebs off the handicap access. And, he said, you pay attention to detail, and he said, job security, so I hope so.
Again, thank you so much. So at this time, we are going to call up Mayor Pro Tem Nora Jackson, who is chair of our DDA, to give us an update on things happening with the DDA.
All right, thank you. Just want to talk about our downtown development authority 2022-23 with the help of Haley and Emily. We were able to come up with some stuff here and give you a good overview. So with the current efforts of the DDA include, we gave away 3 facade grants have been awarded. Kids and Stuff, Jenny Reisner and Wade, Palmer House, bread and breakfast. A little bit about Stouffer Plaza. The subcommittee was created and developed a master plan for the Stouffer Plaza. The Stouffer Plaza the subcommittee continues to meet, and plans are, they're not finalized. They're just plans that had to go on stage due to the grant that was being put in for the COBO. We collaborated with the city and the MEDC and the CDB public gathering space to apply for the grant that was applied from the DDA board. Then also additional public input will be having sessions where getting a hold of some of the downtown residents, especially the ones that are in the back by the Stouffer Plaza, so they can have their input to put in on the project if we are awarded the grant. All right, the Chamber of Commerce. DDA has been working very closely with the Chamber of Commerce, and they have provided a update on 626. The DDA will continue to work with the Chamber of Commerce as needed when the Chamber of Commerce board will ask. So whenever they ask questions, we will be able to provide information for them. The DDA has approved an agreement to support ribbon cutting The DDA board really believes that any business that comes downtown or in the area should be able to have a ribbon cutting. We believe they should be showcased and they should be able to get all those accolades as anyone else. So in efforts of Emily coming and talking to the chamber to get them on board so that we could come together and do something good and nice for all the businesses that come downtown, not only the ones that are members. Farmers market. Emily and them have been doing a great job down here. Currently 18 vendors have been approved and an average of 12 vendors are present. The attendance has been from 50 visitors to 175 visitors. I mean, when the French market came down there, wow, that was an awesome time there. Between 125 people to 150 people were there. Then also they are providing where you can use SNAP, double up, and senior project fresh programs are up and running. And the market will continue to go from Wednesday to the end of September, from the time of 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And just a little update. Thank you, Haley, for this information here about the brownfield projects. We have a lot of people asking us about the brownfield projects. The brownfields are tied to the projects and the downtown projects that have been approved. One of them were first the big Albion plan, the Brick Street Loft, and the hotel. There's great news here that the hotel has been paid off. So that's some good news here. And the MEDC, a Michigan Strategic Fund, MSF board approves the big Albion plans first phase in March of 2023. That did come across the city council. So we're just looking for mighty and great things, the brownfields. The brownfields, any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Councilwoman Wallace?
Yes. So is it our responsibility, and I'm talking about Stouffer Plaza, is it our responsibility to make sure that there are parking routes and driveways so that I think there's at least like 2 businesses back there that are concerned with this Stouffer Plaza redevelopment. One of the questions that was asked was how would they be able to are we gonna make sure that they are able to receive their packages and products? So I'm just asking that when this subcommittee gets together, can you please think about that?
So those 2 individuals came to one of our meetings and we were able to reassure them that some of the things that they heard or might have even seen on paper was not concrete. DDA board let them know that for the time being, what they had seen was a plan that had been put in place to be able to go forward to get the grant. But nothing would be put in place until they were also included, as the information was stated, that they would be a part of what the next stage or next phase was, because they were very concerned, as you said, about their parking and so forth. So thank you for
so
that.
much.
Mhm.
And if I can just add, so the subcommittee members for Stouffer Plaza, they actually met about 2 weeks ago almost. And we discussed the feedback that we received from the 2 businesses. And we have made changes to the renderings that will go into this master plan for Stouffer Plaza. So as Mayor Pro Tem Jackson said, the subcommittee will take the renderings back to the full DDA board to review, discuss, and approve. And then we will move forward with having formal engagement sessions with the community. So this will be the time for our residents to come out, weigh in on what type of landscaping materials that they would like to see in this area, and just weigh in on this proposed master plan for this public gathering space in our community. So there is still time, and we are going to be seeking the input from our residents. So we will be sure to share those dates with you, and please come out and participate. Thank you so much.
Any other questions for Mayor Pro Tem Jackson in regards to the DDA happenings?
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Okay. So at this time, we will have a public hearing in regards to ordinance 2023-04, the rezoning of the parcel college currently owns. So I will go ahead and open up that public hearing at this time at 7:16 p.m. So if there is anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council in regards to the rezoning of this parcel, you have the opportunity to come forward, to have your thought heard.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Thank you for your service. You're doing a stellar job. My name is James Arbor. I'm here along with Stephanie Hall, owner of Legacy Rising LLC, regarding residential apartment rentals at 612 East Erie Street in Albion.
What was that?
612 East Erie Street. So just a little background, we are community minded and support progress and improvements for the city, of course. Albion College is a big part of those improvements and sustainability. In spite of the college's sizable tuition costs, they offer a remarkable amount of scholarships for our youth, of which we applaud. And my concern is regarding rental properties off campus in decay and facing possible blight. Given the initiative to improve these areas that the city has put forth and the mandates of registration, we want to ensure there is a level playing field for investors to be willing to risk their capital investments for the return and fairly compete with special interest. Before approving such request, I would, especially given the fact that college has put dumping more property on the market for both real estate agents as well. It's really hard for us to encourage people to come to the city. They're interested in the Albion area as long as it's not the city. We get that all the time. We got to change that perception. We need to encourage growth of investors, not discourage it. And the regulations, frankly, have discouraged it, along with giving college maybe, I think, an unfair advantage over investors. And specifically, I would ask the college to revisit their off-campus student housing restrictions. Case in point, I had two extremely bright, talented college students with great potential under my employ, and they were learning trades of business, accounting, management skills. These sisters asked the college for a variance to live with their grandparents, but 1 mile from work. They were working to pay for their tuition. It also happened to be within a 1 mile radius of the college policy of student housing. I wrote a letter of recommendation for a variance of that, and were flat out denied. The girls were denied. They couldn't no longer work to support their tuition because it didn't fit the college's policy. And I spoke with the business administrator overseeing their on-the-job training program, and he said the college's policy was quote unquote counterproductive to what he was trying to do for the student success. Again, we need to encourage investment in the city desperately. I'm about innovation, not regulation. As a business, we also pursued an abandoned city property with the support of the Calhoun County Land Bank. We, Stephanie and I, Legacy Rising, and before investing in improvements, we needed a zoning variance, but we faced too much resistance from the city office because somebody in the neighborhood thought if we improved the property, it would raise the taxes too much in that neighborhood. It seems counterproductive, right? But today that property sits in decay, is a danger zone, and produces zero tax revenue. Has been on the books way too long. We're trying to prove something. We needed a variant. Again, when considering zoning variances, and I've been through this a lot, I encourage the commission to proceed in a fair and equitable manner that represents all investors for the growth and restoration of this beautiful city. and hope the college may review their housing policy, which will better suit the community. We just can't compete with the college. And I'm just asking, the same thing for investors that you're willing to do for the. Thanks for your time.
Is there anybody else that would like to stand and address council in regards to this topic? All right, and I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:22 p.m. This time I will open it up to public comment in regards to.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have the agenda item under.
Okay, sorry. But this time we are going to be asked to approve ordinance 2023-04. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. Do we have any questions? Yeah, Councilman Raleigh.
Okay, this is, oh, this is just the plug, oh, we discussed and approving it also.
So this is the ordinance that the planning commission has already approved. They just have to get the approval from council.
So that's what we're doing, approving this.
Tonight's the first reading.
Okay, so just help me to understand, because I'm hearing a lot of concern about housing possibly being affected. So I'm just trying to understand, because if the housing is gonna be affected, then I'm probably gonna have it.
Director Arnold, if you don't mind coming and giving an overview of this process and what happened before the planning commission, please.
Yeah, so what you have in front of you tonight is an amendment to accept the recommendation from the planning commission on their review of this rezoning request, which was to approve the change from the multiple family residential district to the campus development district. As far as the concerns that were just raised, I guess I would not be prepared to comment on all of that. You know, conversationally here. But I can tell you that the parcels that are being considered for rezoning have been owned by the college for a number of years. There are two structures, a White House that was previously used for student housing, and the Britton House Apartments, which is currently used for student housing. As we mentioned in the study session, it would be hard to guess at what the college might do in the future with that due to the changing of an administration, and also just that they probably won't tell us what they intend to do until they intend to do it. In essence, you could look at the change of zoning district there. Yeah, it's going from a zoning district that allows residential uses to one that only allows campus uses. So in effect for that, it would be changing for these parcels, but beyond that, I don't really have much comment on whether or not it gets passed.
Attorney Harris.
So just so council's aware, I mean, right now there's two structures, there's on all the parcels, there's. Out of all the parcels, there's two structures, one of which is being used, as Director Arnold just indicated, as campus housing. The change in the zoning isn't going to affect whether or not they continue to use that as campus housing, because the change in the zoning at this point will allow that housing to remain as a prior non-conforming use. So until, you know, the college ceases to use that as housing, it can continue to be used as housing. So the change in this ordinance isn't going to affect whether or not that continues to be campus housing in the future. And if anybody has a question as to taxes, I know for sure one of those structures is currently not taxed, probably because it's being used by Albion College for part of its purpose, and Albion College is a nonprofit organization. The total taxes for all these parcels is minimal. If I had to guess, ballpark, it's collectively less than $500 per for summer taxes and winter taxes each. So I mean, it's very, very minimal. So just so you're aware.
Councilman Williams.
Yeah, under the current ordinance, if the college so choose to let's say demolish the properties like the other properties on the, that's listed in the plots, they would be able to do so, right?
They could demolish they could demolish the structures
Right.
with any zoning.
Right, so changing it really doesn't impact whether or not there's housing there or not. It just allows them to delegate it as campus development district as opposed to residential. So it doesn't really affect necessarily if they're gonna have housing there or not, because they own all the other properties. So no one would be able to build a house over there anyway.
I'll just clarify one more thing, is that under our current zoning district, while the college could, in theory, build, single family residential homes and sell off the properties. Again, the only currently occupied structure is a campus, student housing, and by our ordinance, student housing could not be. That's actually a non-conforming use right now in that district. So if that building required significant renovation or repair, or if they wanted to rebuild right now on those properties, new campus housing, they would not be able to because of the current zoning code. The change that's in front of you right now would allow them to build a variety of student housing buildings or other campus service buildings.
And again, like I had mentioned, before they do anything, it's gonna have to come back to planning. So, the city will know what this.
Even if they want to knock their own houses down, they gotta come back.
Well, they'll come back for a building permit at least. We can.
I want to make sure, understand, that's all.
It's within a parking lot. Because
Understand,
there's a lot of rumors about what's going on.
okay.
It's rumors. So before they do anything new, they would have to come back.
And I think you answered the question regarding the impact of housing availability in the Albion community in terms of, are we taking away this ordinance, supposedly taking away housing from potential citizens in Albion? And what you're saying is no.
Yeah, I don't see how you could make that argument. They're not the only vacant parcels suitable for residential use that we have.
Right, okay.
Attorney Harris.
And I'm pretty sure that everybody on council is aware of where this is, but just to clarify, several of these parcels directly abut railroad tracks. And I don't know about you, but I can't imagine building a residence smack dab in front of railroad tracks, so.
Having been a former employee of Albion College and deeply involved in the administration under 2 presidents ago. The reason that the college does not allow off-campus housing except in extremely rare circumstances is that the business model for a liberal arts college has changed substantially. And the cost of educating a college student is far more than the cost that those students are paying in tuition, room and board. So one way to mitigate that is to maximize the amount of revenue that each student brings to the college is to require them to live on campus. And yes, the cost of living in a dorm with all of its co-curricular and extracurricular activities associated with dorm life is more than renting a 1-bedroom apartment in the city of Albion. The college, as a liberal arts college, firmly believes as part of its mission, or has when I was working there, I presume it still does, believes firmly that the co-curricular and extracurricular activity that a college student experiences as part of a college community is a major enhancement to the liberal arts experience that a college student has. And to guarantee that every student has an opportunity to receive such benefit also is a reason for requiring on-campus housing. So while we understand that there are rental property owners around the campus, and that in years past, when people were more able to pay tuition and board before the economy tanked in 2008, that financial model from keeping a college like Albion open requires now even more. And you may have heard reports about the college in years past, in decades past, losing money every year and spending off endowment earnings, et cetera. All those things are true, And this financial model is helping Albion College stay open. And I think everybody would like Albion College to stay open for the benefit of everybody in the community.
Any other questions or comments? Right, City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Public comment. So at this time, I will open this floor up to anyone in the gallery that would like to stand and address council in regard to an agenda item only.
Yeah.
If you would like to do so, 3 minutes is yours.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Stewart. I'm at 205 West Oak Street here in Albion and coming as really as a DDA member and have on the agenda tonight. Our request to approve someone's coming onto the DDA board. I want to say two things. One is we really need people on the DDA board. We are too small. In fact, not sure we're even really legit at this point. We need to have more members who are willing to participate. And we have a person in front of us who's willing to participate. And so I would encourage you to pass this person so they get on the board. And I will express my frustration that last time we had someone come to get on the board, it was a unanimous, surprisingly. I didn't understand why. And they didn't get passed. And that's very frustrating when you're on a board and you're working and you don't have enough people to get the work done. And the council won't put a willing person on the board. So that's my point number one. Please put a willing person on the board. And the second thing I'd ask to consider, if you're not gung-ho about a specific person, is I'm a project manager in my private life and my career. Before this, I was a project manager and a business analyst. And one of my jobs was to build teams. I've never been a big boss manager guy, but I've always been a team leader. And it's in my successes in private sector, I was responsible for building those teams. And most of you probably through your training for the board have been through training where it's been presented to you that a diverse board is a good thing. We don't want everyone to feel the same about everything, because in that diversity, we have strength and we have opportunity for growth. So I'm asking that even if you disagree or don't like some things about somebody, that doesn't mean you can't work with them. And it doesn't mean that they can't do some good for the city of Albion. So I'm asking you, please don't turn down another DDA member who's willing to work. Thank you.
Anybody else? Would like to address council? All right, moving on. So in our consent calendar, we have several items that we are going to be asked to approve. First is our June 19th study session minutes, our June 19th regular session minutes, our June 27th study session minutes. We are asked to approve the application for the Kids and Stuff Museum auction. Asked to approve the assembly permit for Victory Park on August 5th for Samuel Putt. Asked to approve the assembly permit for July 29th at Victory Park for the Showers Family Reunion. And asked to approve music by Mo Berry for the Holland Park every Friday. I know he had a title for those events. I can't remember what that title is. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, so that's gonna be every Friday, so. Colin?
Yeah, one thing, and actually Council Member Williams, excuse me. Pointed something out that I don't think anybody noticed, on that last one. The request for sound amplification, is from 6 to 9 every Friday, but as you get into late August and September, parks are only open till dusk. And that's gonna be significantly earlier than 9, so the parks will actually are supposed to be closed before that, so my recommendation would be that you approve the permit, but from 6 p.m. to dusk.
6 p.m. to dusk.
Or 6 till dusk.
6 to 8.
Is it? Then it's supposed to be, I don't think it's supposed to be 6 AM.
Well, it's 6 p.m., but you said 6:30.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm 6 PM to dusk.
Anybody have any objections to that?
I would just, whoever makes the motion, just, I motion to approve with that
I
modification.
think that's what Larry used to do too, was 6 to 8. I was gonna say should be just 6 to 8.
Well, 6 till sundown, you know, whenever the sun go down.
Yeah,
you gotta
It
be
just,
out the park.
it starts earlier than that, like I'm looking at the tables for this year, September 1st, it'll be 8:18 is when it's
But I
sunset, so.
All right, so I will go ahead and make a motion to approve of the consent items with the change for the last application for the Holland Park events to read 6 PM to dusk. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right. Next, we have the application from David Atchison to be appointed to the DDA. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support. Do we have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Dave.
No.
Yes, Councilman Rowland.
Can I ask Mr. Atchison to come up and introduce himself, and if you have any plans for the DDA to be much stronger, could you please let us know?
Yep, come on up.
Mayor, council members, city attorney. Mr. Domingo, Ms. Haley. I'm Dave Atchison. I live at 108 West Erie Street. I own another piece of property next door, and I'm involved with the restaurant, the new restaurant here at Galazio. So I have a business, a residence that I'm very much involved in Albion. You know, most of you probably recall I served as mayor for a couple of years. And so as far as what I would like to do, I mean, I've noticed in that there has been an issue with getting people to serve on various boards, but particularly the DDA. That's been an ongoing issue. And so I'm ready to come forward and fill one of those seats on the board. And I do meet the desired qualifications of living in the district, having a business in the district, and other interests. So I'm qualified to do this. I'm registered to vote. I don't owe anything to the city. What I would like to see the DDA do is promote things that go on. There's been a variety of events, I think, working with the Chamber of Commerce and the Visitors Bureau, those could be promoted a little bit more effectively. As an example, in June, we had 3 things going on in the city that revolved around French culture. That is kind of a unique thing. This year was unique that the Festival of Music and the French Market ended up on the same day. And I think that was a good opportunity to promote people coming from outside of Albion, coming into Albion, spending time and seeing what a nice place this is. We ran some commercials on JTV, Jackson TV, promoting that those 3 fence things here in June. And there's other things that come up that I think there are some opportunities to do a better job of promoting the city, to bring people into the city. I appreciate the DDA facade grants. I think that's a great way to help local businesses to do things that otherwise they couldn't afford. You know, the economy makes it very tough to do some things, and it pays benefits to the city if we keep the properties looking good and improving them and sustaining them. So, you know, I think there's other things that some of the businesses that might not be thinking of what they could use those grants for, and they don't have to be big, expensive grants. And so promoting that and working more with some of the businesses downtown. You know, I would like to see the DDA get more input from the community on things that they're facing. And so I can assist in doing that. And I have a, you know, interest and experience working as the mayor here in the city and with other businesses. And so I'd like to see the DDA be able to accomplish more. They need more members, and I'm ready to serve.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed. Yes.
Jackson. Yes. Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve of the Albion College settlement and release agreement?
So moved.
Or
And Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So either earlier this year or late last fall, we had a sewer failure or issue resulting in backup into the Kresge facility on Albion College campus. When our crews went out to assess the situation, it was determined as discussed in the study session, whether the installation of that steam line that went in caused damage to the sewer line, but in return, I think the sewer line had what was it, clay material? Clay tile, could be need replacement as well. So we reached out to the college. I know the DPW Director O'Brien reached out to the college to see if they would be willing to cover the cost, or the contractor who put in the steam line would be with some back and forth. We were not able to come up with a solution. However, working with interim president Calvaruso, we both agreed that we would split the cost for the repairs. So the college, they will cover $5,911, and then the city will cover $5,911 to cover the cost for that, the repairs. Attorney Harkness, do you want to add anything else?
I think the city manager summed it up pretty well. I drafted the agreement. Their attorney made a couple of small tweaks, but they're on board. My understanding is the interim president has already executed a copy of the agreement, so it's just before you for approval. Like I indicated during the work session, it's a cost benefit, risk benefit analysis. I think it's a good resolution. Given the facts of the particular circumstances.
Any questions? Yep. Something along?
Thank you so much. Because we are, this subject is about a matter happening in fourth precinct, I really appreciate you guys coming together and making a solution. Seeing that we can come together with the college and do some things for our roads. I would definitely like us to come together and see what we can do about Bidwell. So please encourage the college to help us with Bidwell, like we come together for, you know. Thank you so much.
Any other questions or comments? Pretty quick, Domingo?
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson.
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Next, we need to approve council members to sit on the capital improvement subcommittee. I would like to nominate Councilwoman Davis if she would like to sit on this committee. I didn't see anybody else kind of.
I'm already on it. I just got off.
Wait, this is the one that you're already on, right?
So myself and Councilwoman Reed.
So we
we're
can't get a
together
second.
training.
You can't get a second because I
Somebody
was
else.
4 on the committee, so.
Just.
So, yeah, so if you say yes, then we're good.
What did you
Well,
say?
planning commission hasn't technically appointed their members, have they?
No, so they're,
But the mayor and councilman Reed serve on planning. commission.
Oh, but they may
As
have.
long as they're not appointed to you just can't have 4 total on.
I know, I understand that. I would say, I would nominate Mayor Snyder and Councilman Reed to be the other members of that committee since they're already on the planning commission.
Councilwoman Maloney, did you have?
I just got a comment. Colin, can you tell me if on these subcommittees that a community member can, are they able to join or is that not appropriate? Because we did have a person from the community that actually serves, does something for Albion that would like to be a part of it. So is there a procedure or?
I didn't see anything in the planning statute about anything of who serves on it. I think hypothetically you could.
Yeah, and I would say in her role as the EDC CEO director, she would be included in the department head level, working with this subcommittee.
Oh,
So we're just looking for participants from the city council, and then at the upcoming planning commission meeting, the planning commission will nominate a few of their members to serve in the subcommittee, who will then work with the city staff and Whiteman and Associates to update our capital improvements plan.
thank you so much.
So Councilwoman Reed,
Yes,
are you good with also sitting on this subcommittee?
yes, I am.
So then we have myself, Councilwoman Reed, Councilwoman Davis.
Awesome.
Do we have comments or?
I would just question what, I don't know what that does for, will that give us a quorum on planning commission? Because if,
No, because right now it's just myself and Councilwoman Reed.
It
right,
depends on
it's representing council, but then you also are on the,
how many members do you have on planning?
there were two, so previous, the last.
No. How many total people are on the body?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
9.
9, so you probably need at least 5 to have a quorum. So then. You'd be just, I think you'd be just shy of having 4.
Just as long as there's no quorum, so that's. I'm with-
Because even if the subcommittee meets separately, which then it's just the 3 of us with whoever else is there.
Yeah, but she's talking about a quorum of planning commission. But I think as long as you're only 4, you should be fine.
Okay. All right,
Shake his head.
so
Check
there was
it.
a motion.
So move.
Support.
Okay. Any questions?
What are we voting on, please? Can you reiterate?
Yeah.
Adding.
So, Councilman Reed, Councilman Davis.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed, Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. And we are discussing the city improvements.
Yeah, she can say it over again.
What was that, Mayor Pro Tem?
I said she can just repeat what she said over again. I mean, I asked about what was being taken place and she can repeat what she said that they do. And I'm satisfied with that because it sounds like you're working all 3 of those areas that I'm asking for. But I didn't
Yes,
hear
and
that.
then just like if you wanna go over what is in process right now with areas of attention.
Just one second. So we have this study session to follow up for the tour of the city. And during that study session, myself and Director Arnold, we did take note of all of the items that council viewed as a priority to address in our community. So to address the overgrown trees and brushes, the vacant lots, the contaminated sites and the entryways and then the roads were all of the items that you all viewed as a priority. Since it's been a little over a week since that study session, our code enforcement officer was in attendance to that study session, so he is aware of your concerns regarding any issues regarding properties. So I know that he is actively working to address those. We are working to identify funding to support the transportation asset management plan, because that is another goal or priority of the council to determine a level of funding to do more road projects. We just signed a new service agreement with a tree provider to address some of the trees in our community. And then the contaminated sites, myself and the EDC director, as well as the director of planning and zoning, we're working to hopefully bring new development to our community. Until we know what levels of remediation are required, it all depends on the type of development that we're looking to put on some of these sites. So we are actively working. Once we know or can identify a new developer in a project, then we will be able to provide more information and to address those. So we have heard your priorities and your concerns, and we're actively working to address them. Director Arnold is also following up on that proposed ordinance that was shared at the study session. That's one way that we can address some of the vacant buildings here in our here in our community. So we are busy working, and I'll be happy to provide updates as we move further in addressing this.
I guess that's,
I'm sorry.
that was the question I was gonna ask. So in our, because you got another meeting, correct? Yeah, in July, I mean, not July, but August, if you could bring us another update of where you at. And at the part with the development stage, are you guys able to start testing some of those sites first, so then it can help you determine what kind of development of properties we can bring in?
So we've done a lot of environmental testing. We've worked closely with the land bank, and they've secured grant funding to come in and do a lot of the environmental testing on a lot of our vacant sites here in town. So we have the data, we know what issues that we're facing, but it all depends on the type of development. So if we're looking to bring new housing in an area that may have levels of contamination, it's going to require more remediation efforts, because there are strong requirements through, if you're getting funding through MISTA or Eagle or HUD. So it all just depends on the level of development. But yes, we have worked closely with the land bank and other partners to have a lot of environmental testing done.
Yes, I would like to add, will there be an opportunity again, because as I look at the individual discussion, of course, precinct 5 is not on. And there are some concerns that I submitted that maybe I would like to meet to discuss, to maybe identify 1 or 2 areas to add to this list from precinct 5.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Talking about the contaminated land. I don't know, I guess because I was doing some up around Dalrymple, I was, looking at some things. How is it that they can have a child center up here, but right down below it, all the land is contaminated?
Child Development Center.
I mean, it has all of
Oh, yeah.
that being looked at, down from below there. This up here is not contaminated, but all of this down here is.
Mhm.
Has the land really been looked at good?
So the city owned property, yes, we've done testing. And I can't speak for the property that the childcare, because I think it's been there for, I went there when I was a child.
1972.
So it's been there for a long time, but the city owned property or the land bank, it was previously owned by the land bank. All of that property has been tested. And we know based off the level of contamination, we cannot disrupt the ground. So that's why we no longer mow that, because that is disrupting the ground. And I know council approved a few years ago to put up the signs to inform our residents that there are levels of contamination here. But I can't speak on what's on the private owned property.
Councilman Weeds?
And also, when we did the tour, it was said that it was okay to walk the path, just not off of the path that actually goes through there. So I would imagine, being that the daycare center is further up and you can still walk through that property, that's not an area of concern.
It's uphill also. So the childcare center is uphill from contaminated site, so.
Way down.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
wondering.
could speak to the property a little bit more. The property, we went through this for years, but the property is contaminated with arsenic. It's a direct result of dumping stuff from the foundries on the property. It's still in the lowlands that were there. That arsenic was probably there when the school was built, and all those kids played on it for years while it was there, because back then nobody cared about it, but now it's a bigger deal. The path that is there, we actually put fill in over top of it, so you're not disturbing the soil that the arsenic's in. I can't remember what we put on top of it, but when Kent Phillips was the director of public services, that's when that was done. And so that's why the path is okay to walk on. There's still arsenic under the path, but it's got a coat on top of it basically to keep the arsenic from coming up through. So I hope that helps a little bit, but that's what happened like.
So we can deal with the whole. Oh my God, thank you, Kip, for saying that, because you have people beating us up because of that. Especially me, they're talking about the lady that fell and tripped on that area due to the sidewalk. I know Mr. O'Brien knows about that. But then the 105-year-old man that we don't all celebrate, stays at the corner of that street. And then some of the older individuals that are right there. So there's just a lot of complaining to me about that. Even, you're having, residents saying that they would come to you guys and buy that lane without all the stipulations, you guys sign off on it because they just can't believe what's being done in that area and why in that area something hasn't been taken care of. You know, the whole thing to that is those signs. When you put signs like that in an area of that, okay, they're wondering, what are you guys saying in our city? So I'm just giving you the heart of the people, how I get beat up about it. And I'm just gonna go from there. So I'm sorry, I'm just being real with you. So I wouldn't be any day and somebody will come to you and give you whatever type of money they needed to. But just tell you sign off on it and they'll deal with it exactly how it is because they can't believe in that area. Those signs have been up that long and you have allowed those people, those children to be in that area without someone doing anything for you. So I'm just letting you know.
Public comments. If there's anybody,
This future agenda.
oh, sorry, don't be your agenda items. Anybody wanna? Yes.
I have a future agenda item and still being kind of a neophyte, I'm not sure how to handle it. Last week or so, we had one of our police officers to save a life. So I would like to give some kind of recognition outside of the immediate department, but from the community to that officer who saved a life in recognition of his heroic efforts. So we would like to have that for an agenda item. Yes. I'm sorry.
You should also.
Correct.
What I'm saying.
He's sitting back there somewhere.
Oh, yes, of
I'm
course.
being funny.
Everyone involved.
Just not the chief.
Excluding anyone, chief.
They kept saying, that's kid, let's get up there. It wasn't kid.
Any other agenda items? Councilman Reed?
I just spoke with Attorney Harkness at the beginning of the meeting about some things I saw during the 4th of July. For one, down at where they shot the fireworks off down at the river. There was a gentleman who pulled up there who started shooting his own personal ones off right there in the middle of the street. Highland come this way, Barnes come this way, he was right here.
Yeah.
And the stuff was just going all over it. A lot of people came to look at it. I took my car and came home because I didn't want that stuff shooting over on my car. And then on the street where I live, there were people up the street that was shooting those same ones. They're like in a box and you put them out and set them, was shooting them from the middle of the street over towards the other people on the other side of the street's house, which could have caused a fire. I think we should really decide where in Albion we can shoot them. Now, if you went to Victory Park, where you're out there in a big open space, or if you went to some other park or place.
He's raising his hand.
Not in a neighborhood around people's houses.
So,
They'll never get done.
we actually, so the existing ordinance already says. No individual may ignite, discharge, or use consumer fireworks on any public property, which would include our parks, any school property, church property, property of another person, without the individual or organizational express permission. So they're not supposed to be setting them off in parks or in the street or anything like that. That's illegal. So really, it's just a matter of either getting a complaint so that the police know about it and can go do enforcement, or you know, the officers being able to see it. It's, you know, just probably a matter of, and I'll let Chief speak to this, about just having the number of bodies and having them where we need them, being able to observe things like that. As far as people setting them off on the private property, There's not a ton we can do about that because there's a state law that specifically allows them to use certain fireworks. It's just they can't set off what are classified as commercial fireworks. So like the mortar shells and things like that, but the stuff you can go to, by way of example, Walmart and buy the standard bottle rockets and Roman candles and things like that. Unfortunately, I mean, as much as I, you know, now that I'm in my 40s, like to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night on the 4th of July. Unfortunately, we're somewhat hampered by state law, but it's absolutely illegal to do it on public property. And so I'll get with the chief and see what we can do about that next year. Or on the other holidays that are coming up where people can use fireworks.
And maybe the city needs to really let the people know, because some people told me they did call the police and no one came because they said it was legal to shoot off. But when you're shooting them at a person's house, I mean, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, no,
If it had been my house, man.
Yeah.
Chief would have been coming, because you know, those things now are to the power of setting your house on fire.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like the little sparklers that we used to play with. This stuff is really something to deal with. And when you watch something go over into a person's yard right on the side, and I stood there and saw that happen. In fact, to tell you the truth, I was undressed, but I got up and got dressed and fixing to come down to the police department to tell them, come take a look. You know, because they were shooting them at these people's houses, away from their house, but at someone else's house.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing that either. It's only supposed to be done on your own
Didn't see me
property.
looking like I was looking at.
And I will say, we did work with the community ambassador this year to publish the fireworks ordinance on the city's Facebook page. So it was put out there well in advance of the holiday to inform our residents on when they can, how long they can do it. And I know I've talked with chief on, okay, how do we enforce this? But unless someone calls to report it, then we can't respond to address it with those individuals.
Any other agenda items?
Well, this is just an addition. Community Leadership Council would also like to give recognition to for the life-saving effort. So when we have that, we can include community leadership.
Just gonna keep those awards on.
On who?
On the lifesaver.
Of course, as it should be.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
Any other items?
Like
All right. Public comment at this time, if anybody would like to stand and address council, you have the opportunity to do so in 3 minutes is yours.
Mayor, Council, I want to thank you for approving my application. Appreciate the opportunity to serve on the DDA. One thing you might consider when you're talking about the property, the contaminated property at Dalrymple with the arsenic. If you plant sunflowers, which I know you can't plant something without disrupting the surface, they soak up the heavy metals, specifically including arsenic. And as long as that's been sitting there, probably would have been leached out of there a long time ago. You can't roll back the clock. But I don't know what's going to happen in the near future or even in the next several years with that. But if you're able to plant sunflowers, that will pull out and decrease the level of arsenic in that property. And then I do have a question. You know, our ordinance for the fireworks, so that you can continue to light them off until 11:30 at night. Is that driven by state law, or is that just a local decision to blow stuff up after 10 o'clock when most people go to sleep? Thank you.
Go ahead, anybody else like to stand and address council?
Hi, my name is Bridgie Ammerman. I live at 305 East Main in Homer, Michigan, and currently I'm the EDC president and CEO, and I want to thank you for considering my offer to become part of the subcommittee on the capital plan. I think I heard that I would be included as part of the department head process. And that may actually be where part of our confusion has been since I arrived, because I don't think I'm in the department head group.
The EDC is a separate group from the city, own articles of incorporation bylaws, we pay rent. We do pay a fee to the city as an admin fee, as do other departments, and so I can understand where it might feel like a hybrid, but in all reality, the president and CEO reports to a board. And doesn't report up through, city manager or the city council directly, just by form of the fact that the mayor and the council appoints the board. So I think, it would be awesome at some point, as I'm still learning my role, to have that discussion and maybe clarify. Because I still think I would like to be a part of that process, but I wouldn't necessarily be a city staff member. And joining that, I would be representing the EDC and the role there. So I think sometimes that might be kind of where some of our confusion comes from, because I'm still trying to learn my role. So and then I also wanted to mention that we are entertaining a site by site or a lot by lot analysis on behalf of anyone who wants to come forward as a function of their neighborhood alliance. That was started by the Leadership Council. So if there's a neighborhood alliance and you have a house that's in your area that you'd like to either offer some support for or find out maybe what's happening with it, we're taking those asks and requests, and we're keeping a list. And we are very fortunate to have an intern in our office for the rest of the summer, and he is doing a big amount of that work of looking at lot by lot. And then we're working super close with the land bank to learn how we can maybe do some more lot work there. And really trying to beautify, preserve, and try to assist where we can. So, and if anyone has any questions on any lots in the community, I'm open. We have a cool new map, and I promised I would give one to the city too. So I'm just gonna say it's a cool new map. So thank you all. And I really, I'm trying to fit in, trying to do the right thing. So I appreciate your help. Thank you.
So
Any other public comment?
I think he caught her.
we all received an email from EDC Director CEO Ammerman regarding property allocations and properties that were owned by LLCs, et cetera. I want to thank Virgie and her staff doing a better deep dive than I had done. Because I didn't figure out until I saw what you had done, how to like pull out the township properties from the rest of them. I wonder if we could, as you stood up and spoke, it jogged my memory, if we could have a conversation. Virgie asked us to think about strategic goals for occupancy percentages and things like that as part of that email. And I think you sent it just today or yesterday.
This afternoon.
This afternoon.
Yes.
So if we could all take a look at that, and then maybe it can just be something we talk about at the next meeting. As we think about, as we make goals for growing our community and bringing, one of the numbers that struck my mind was the percent occupancy or percent vacancy of our properties is like some ungodly number, like 20%. And do we actually have a plan or have an idea of where we'd like that to go? I mean, obviously, we'd like that to be as low as possible, get the full occupancy, but I have no barometer to know what other cities have in terms of that kind of occupancy. So if we can have some comparison information, and maybe, I don't know if Virgie, your intern, can help us with that, but just as a topic of discussion, not to decide on anything, but just to sort of educate ourselves about that aspect of, as we try to increase our tax bases and try to increase revenue from property taxes, that would be helpful to have that kind of information. So if that's something that.
Yeah, and so before it gets quoted, so that term vacancy and that, the way they calculate that means non-tax.
Right.
So that's like city, college.
Yeah.
So we have 20% that's non-revenue generating, but then we have a lot of true vacancy.
Right.
Which isn't measured in that analysis. You have to think through another way to do that.
Okay.
So you have 20% that will never create revenue. Then you have the other 80%, but of the 80%, how much is not productive right now and not creating revenue.
Okay.
So you have some big holes in your revenue package And if my understanding is the overall goal is to go from 7,500 people to 15,000, then we have these, like, we have 3 lanes of housing thought planning. The immediate, the medium, and then the long term, but then the same with commercial and the same with industrial. So to what extent are you anticipating we reproduce or make productive that 80% chunk?
Right.
And that's, I think, when you start to really make it and pick a goal, like those are the things that I think would align that you used to go with the city.
Can someone provide me with that email? Because I was not given that information.
Oh, sure, I will.
Thank you.
City manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So a copy of my report was emailed out and there's a hard copy on your desk. So I'm happy to share the new city website is now live. It is much more user friendly, kind of with the times. I would encourage everyone to check it out. Same email address, www.cityofalbionmi.gov. I just wanted to give a big thank you to Clerk Domingo for all of her hard work on getting this project completed and up and out there. And I'm very honored to share that the City of Albion's comprehensive plan has been selected as a recipient of the Outstanding Daniel Burnham Award for Comprehensive Plans for the 2023 Planning Excellent Awards on behalf of the Michigan Association of Planning. A jury of American Planning Association North Carolina chapter professionals reviewed and selected the city's project, and they noted our community engagement was front and center in their recommendation. This is an honor to have been awarded this. Director Arnold and I were looking at the previous recipients of this award, and it was a lot of the city of New York, Nashville, so really large, big scale cities, and now the city of Albion will be added to that list of communities.
So what does that actually mean? Are we more in line to get funding maybe, or something like that?
No, I mean, we are by having a strong comprehensive plan that they really noted that we have a solid comprehensive plan, noting what we want to do with future land use in our community. And I think it just speaks volume because I know everyone talks about community engagement, and for that to be their recommendation that it was front and center in our plan is good to see.
Yeah. Okay.
So they will be presenting the award at the upcoming Michigan Association of Planners Conference. I believe Director Arnold is planning to attend, so we are very happy to bring that award home. I just want to know, unfortunately, there was a misprint on the 2023 summer property tax bills.
Wow.
On the due date, it says August 10th of 2022, but on the bottom, it has August 10th, 2023. When we looked in the system, all of the dates had the 2023 year, so I don't know why when it went to print, just that one section had 2022. So every property owner will receive a notice just correcting the due date. The amounts were correct. The only thing to change would be from 2022 to 2023. So please stay tuned with that. If you have any questions, you can contact the finance office directly. I did include the community newsletter, so there's a one page for the month of July. And that is all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for City Manager Snyder? All right, Councilmember Khan. So I will say that, definitely over the 4th of July weekend, there was a lot of great things happening in the community. So I just wanted to give a huge thank you to those that helped put the events that we had together. Rain kind of dampened one of the events, the Black Squirrel concert that was downtown. That still drew in a lot of people though, regardless of the rain, so that was good. But for the EGA to work on the classic car show, the Chamber of Commerce, when they worked on, and this was, it's tough to get money out of people, but it is a community event. And we all take pride in having people in our town because we know that Albion is one of the few small communities that's always had their own fireworks show. So I send a huge shout out to the years for coordinating those efforts. You know, I think they were almost at their goal, they did not meet their goal. So again, that's a huge undertaking. So just wanted to thank those who bring focus, foot traffic to our lovely community. Any other comments? Do I have a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned 8:17 PM.